in 3, 2, 1, let's get it going. So, this is Spyro Year of the Dragon. This is the third and last part of a Spyro trilogy for PlayStation 1. We are going to be doing an any percent run, so just your usual, get the final boss as quickly as possible and get it all cleared up. Usually this game is a bit of a collectathon. There are a lot of different collectibles, mainly dragon eggs, which you are supposed to get a lot of, but because we are speedrunners, we are going to be skipping just about everything except for some absolutely essential collectibles. So this game is structured into 4 homeworlds, of which we are essentially just playing 3 of them, and in each and every one of them there are 5 levels that we have to complete. So our goal is to enter every level and finish it as soon as possible. We are loading into our first level, which will hopefully show us off some of the sorts of skips that we'll be doing here.
Hopefully.
It's a small one, but yeah. So what was attempted there was a proxy jump. I got a very small one, which unfortunately wasn't enough to skip the entire level. By design, the levels in this game are like very circular, so usually the end of the level is very close to its beginning. Normally you shouldn't be able to finish it as quickly, but thanks to various glitches like those proxy jumps that we attempted there, we are usually able to keep them. But yeah, so this is our first level, very easy entry, very easy finish. Now we are going to be now we will be entering the next level, but because we do not have the necessary requirements to unlock it, we will have to do some tricking, and if Rui, you could explain what is about to happen.
Yeah, sure thing. So, if anyone here has played this game before, you might know that sort of, in order to access a new level, you have to get enough eggs for the portal to open so that you can enter through it. What we're doing just there is a glitch called Swim in It. Basically, water planes in this game aren't exactly bodies of water, but more just sort of a layer that Spyro can pass through, goes into a swim state, and then is kept in a container, being what looks like the water. But if you're able to sort of do it so that Spyro isn't inside that container, you can theoretically swim anywhere. So Wojowu just swam underneath the portal just there to enter it early. All the portals are stored underneath where the portal is, typically invisible, but on this homeworld you can slightly see a part of the portal. We might see that when we go into the next level, but yeah, we use swim and airs quite often in this game so that we can sort of like bypass them sort of barriers. And yeah, with every level, it's typically just going straight to the end, since the end egg is sort of the marker that we need to enter the next homeworld. So once we've got one character from each level in this homeworld at our sort of vehicle to go to the next homeworld, we'll be able to sort of go further on.
Yeah, so that was our second level. We are going to now be skipping into another level. I'm going to attempt a slightly different skip. Enter it. Let's see how that goes. Okay, unfortunately didn't quite make it, so we'll be having to do some trickery similar to the previous one with jumping out of this cave and running along the wall.
A lot of this game tends to be sort of trying to get out of bounds in areas that the developers just about made possible when it shouldn't have been possible. What was attempted before coming to this bit was a wall glide. If it would have worked, basically Spyro would have sort of rided along the wall so that we could get on top of sort of the hut-like thing. Then we would have just sort of like jumped off the edge of the map a bit so that we could enter the portal underneath it, so that we could enter the level early again.
Go. Now, if you look closely, you can see the portal that I'm entering. Just the top two edges of it, right there.
People describe it as the
the
mustache.
Yes, the mustache, which is only visible in this homeworld for reasons that we, to this day, do not really understand. Oh, and there we go. That's our first good proxy, and you can see that I just got shot up really high in the air. In some games that's called a moon jump. In CelesteCommunity we call these proxy jumps. And because of the layout of the level, the ending is right next to the start. So just getting one high enough jump gets us pretty much all the way to the end. Yeah, and now we are going to be running back here again to the portal that we have been running past just for minor routing reasons. There is another level here. Yeah,
the way
and
we
the way
enter Cloud as well is kind of a wall glide as well. Works a little bit differently from the other wall glide we tried, but yeah.
Yeah, so this level we will be skipping to the end slightly differently. So if you play this game casually, you might be familiar with this level having different sub-areas and like small black starry portals to enter them. And it turns out that those area portals bleed a lot. So they are much larger than they appear. And in particular, like this one here, we can just enter one from the back, from out of bounds. And this turns out to be a very fast way to finish this level. Just entering the sub-area and then exiting it leaves us right at the end of the stage. Okay, so now we'll be going for our swim in air for one last time, in this homeworld anyway. And we'll be entering the another type of level, which is unique to this third installment in the series. Unfortunately. Yeah, Rui, if you could briefly explain what the creature levels are about, while I attempt this.
Sure thing. So, in Spyro 3, if you haven't played this one before but have played the other Spyro games before, something that makes this game different is that we get to play as other characters. And typically story-wise, you sort of free them from a cage that Moneybag has them up in. But because, once again, their portals are just stored underneath where they should be, we can just sort of go into level and play as Sheila already without having to pay Moneybags at all. Sheila plays quite differently from Spyro. She has her own movement. And as such, there's not really much we can do to sort of make this bit faster, apart from doing what we're meant to do here. And this bit we sort of consider an escort mission of such. There's sort of key markers that we have to complete, which is taking out all the enemies in this level, so that the NPCs that are the goats following behind us right now will go to the end of the level so we can get the egg and move on to the next one.
Yeah, there are a lot of very minor optimizations. For instance, we have to defeat all the Rhinox and destroy all the huts here. Turns out defeating the Rhinox before finishing the huts is a little faster, because you don't have to wait for the Rhinox death animation, but other than that, just a pretty straightforward and mostly played as intended level. And that was the final level in this homeworld. So now we are going to, right as we exit this level, we are going to fly through Sheila, which normally should have been rescued, but yeah, because of the glitch, we just go through her. And now we are on to our first boss. So between any two homeworlds, and then also at the end of the game, there is a boss fight that we have to finish. And this is the first one. This is Buzz, whom you will see in a second. This boss fight is all about manipulating both the boss itself and the camera, as I'll explain in a second. So first we chase him right to the edge, so that we can knock him in. And now we position ourselves right at the edge, so that the boss stops right as he charges at us. And you can also see that I'm doing some... I got a little too close. Yeah, a little farther out. Yeah, we are also doing some camera manipulation, so you saw just now that Buzz has put up this fire shield, which made him invulnerable for a bit. If I turn this camera slightly, the way this game kind of optimizes for memory is that entities which are outside of our camera range are still loaded, but they do not interact in all the ways they normally do. So we can really speed up this fight by basically cheating the boss this way. And that's already the boss done, just 6 hits, and now we are on to the next homework.
Do we have time to squeeze in a quick donation?
Yes, go ahead.
Suppose we could, yeah.
Okay, I have a massive $100 donation from Gamers in a Dangerous Space-Time, and they say, thank you for having us. Thanks to everyone who donated for the blindfolded incentive. We are paying it forward. Let's see this bonage stage, :D. Thank you guys so much for the very generous donation, and with that donation, that puts us halfway towards that incentive. So let's push for that $200, guys. We can do this.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, right now we are going to be doing some very glitchy movement here, taking me a couple tries. I can...
So what we're attempting to sort of do here, the way sort of everything interacts in this game, Spyro inside water next to a wall doesn't quite work the way you think it should work. So the same explanation I gave when we was entering Seashell is a similar thing happening there, where sort of Spyro's going through the water plane, but it's sort of like going outside of the container, and because that bridge bit, sort of Spyro's constantly going through it, we can just swim out of the bridge essentially.
Right. We are entering already our second Twitter level. Again, this is just a routing thing. This one is a little bit more fun to move around, because normally this is Servant Bird, he is a flying penguin, because of course he is. And normally he is a very slow flyer, but it turns out that you can speed him out a lot. He has a strafe movement which is very fast, and it turns out that if you press both the strafe buttons at the same time, then it cancels out the strafe movement and that allows you to move very fast in any direction. So yeah, this is, I can tell you, this is much faster compared to the usual flying speed. Yeah, this level also has checkpoint system where you are only required to kill some of the enemies as you go to basically complete this escort. So we are escorting this hummingbird. Yeah, with like optimized movement and killing only those enemies that we have. This is already the level done. And now we are going to be going for yet another out of bounds entry. We're going to be jumping from here onto this bridge. And now we can just jump out and go around. The portal is sort of right underneath here. Hopefully we get another nice proxy in here. Another small one, unfortunately not high enough. Rui, if we could take this moment to talk about there being some different kinds of proxies that we'll be seeing in a second.
Sure thing. So we briefly touched on this before, but proxies is a term we use of sort of Spyro being sent up into the air because of him being in a place he shouldn't be. There's 3 different forms of proxies that can happen, and they all work in different ways. The one that we sadly just missed there was called a dead body proxy, where Spyro's allowed to charge through the enemy but not glide through it. So when you try and glide through the enemy, he just goes shot up into the air. There's an animation proxy where if Spyro is sort of inside the animation and as it's going on, he'll be shot up, usually in a charging state that happens. And then we have...
The animation proxy is the kind we saw at the beginning in the lava level in Molten Crater.
Yeah. where we proxied off the ball back in Molten.
Oops.
That's because we
Disappointed.
sort of charged above the ball, which caused a really high proxy to happen. And the last type of proxy, which will be seen in the next level, but it's kind of odd looking in that level, is called a squeeze proxy, where this is probably like the most intended purpose of the proxy, but it's when Spyro gets stuck in between two objects and the game is trying to sort of like get him out of it so that he doesn't like fall out of bounds. We sort of call this next proxy soap proxy because of how we explain it, but if you imagine like putting pressure on a bar of soap with both your hands, it will like slip upwards. So we call this proxy coming up here soap proxy, just because this is probably the most common type of squeeze proxy. It was used to describe a squeeze proxy when someone else was running the game once, and I found it funny ever since. So
Yeah. And it
all the
became a
time.
standard explanation.
Yes.
We would be.
There will be another squeeze proxy in the next level, hopefully as well. But yeah, no, squeeze proxies, they can happen off pretty much anything. As long as Spyro can't be standing inside the object, otherwise it would just look normal-ish.
Yeah, many things can in principle give you squeeze proxy. It's just often hard to find a correct setup for it. Right now we are doing a slightly cheeky way to enter this level by opening it with a fireball instead of throwing a rock which Hunter the cheetah provides us. But yeah, that's just another level. And here we'll hopefully see the other squeeze proxy.
I don't know if there's sort of like any
Unfortunately.
audio mixing for this stream, but just in case if there isn't, towards the end of the level, this level makes quite a loud noise, so a little bit of sound warning.
Yeah, volume warning due to a programming error, which made these rockets that I will be firing up in a second, about 10 times louder than they are intended to be.
I feel like it's extra worse when playing on inventory as well for some reason.
Yeah, and that was it. There's also a very minor optimization we did there, which is normally you are teleported towards this NPC after the rockets hit, but if we stand in front of the NPC while we are supposed to be teleported, we call it teleport anticipation, then we save 1/4 of a second, because they start talking to us early. Now we do some wee sliding on the ice there to enter the final level of this homeworld. This is the level that I think most casual players will have seen the developers teasing you and asking you to try to skip towards the end, because right here in front of us right now you can see the end of the level. And it just barely seems like it's out of reach, but it turns out that you can still reach it. There are a couple ways you can get there. I am doing a slightly slower but for me a safer way. It's just going around this wall here. Ah, just barely missed it.
Yeah, the earlier method is sort of the ramp by the staircase just at the start. It is quite an awkward jump to do though. It's one of them things where it's just about possible. There's ways
really
to be
important.
consistent at it. But yeah, no, it's not an easy jump by any means, no matter which method you're going for. The one that Wojowu is going for right now, it's typically used in sort of like full completion categories where you're wanting to get like everything in the game. But it works just as well for any
Oh my
extent
God.
as well. When you actually hit it, that is. Hehe.
I hit it this time. Unless otherwise it will be a little awkward.
Could do 99 lives.
I don't know the cheat code. Okay. Yeah, this is unfortunate, but this was also in a way good because it gives us a little more lives, which might be necessary later in the game. So I apologize for that. We'll have to quickly run back into this level. But it sometimes goes like that. It is a tricky jump, so...
Yeah. This category is quite brutal in that sense. A lot of tricks that you do in this game, if you do it wrong, does just lead to death. But it's still worth doing because if you do hit it the first time, you go really fast. So otherwise, trying to go through this level the legitimate way round, it takes like a good minute.
Yeah, at the end there was some optimization on those stairs. Turns out that you can very quickly do a very small glide jump by charging and immediately gliding after. And that gives you a pretty fast way of going upstairs like that. We call that magic stairs. But yeah, now we are finally exiting the level. And we will be...
Let's head on.
We'll be heading on to our second boss. This is a good place to mention version differences. We are playing on the version 1.0 of the game. And one of the biggest time saves in this version is that there is no cutscene before this boss. It's alright in the game files, but the devs just forgot to make it start playing. And while we are here on this boss, if you could explain briefly the easy mode of this game.
Sure thing. So, this boss fight probably won't look like too out of the ordinary, but compared to most runs, this fight is going to go a lot quicker. In any percent, we aren't collecting any eggs we don't need, and because of that, the game hasn't quite sort of noticed that we're playing pretty well yet. There's an adaptive sort of difficulty setting going on in the background, sort of counting how many eggs we have, and usually by the time we get to this boss, it would have more HP because it would be set to normal mode, but because we've barely gotten any eggs, its HP is cut by a third. So that fight goes way more quicker compared to something like a full completion run.
Yeah. The boss also shoots less. There are a lot of instances of this adaptive difficulty in the game, but this is by far the most prominent one.
Listen to me.
Not the most noticeable one to casual players. Yeah, we are going to be glitching into more levels right now for out of bounds. Unfortunately, in this level, in this homeworld, there isn't a very convenient place to get swim in air, so we have to make do the flying into portals the old-fashioned way, let's call it. Just going out of bounds and flying in. So we are entering our third and last creature level in this run. Yeah, we are going to be playing as Bentley the Yeti, who is very slow, which unfortunately made this level drag for quite a bit, but it's not a very long one, so...
Yeah, in a run where you're meant to be speed running, Bentley feels quite awful because he is speed walking instead.
Yeah. Yeah, some very minor optimizations here, just positioning ourselves before the cutscene. And now I'm going to try some camera money because again, when things are off screen, the cycles are not updating, so we can position ourselves close to the fields a little faster to just make the cycles work a little better. And now we have to wait for our escortee. We have to talk to him, but we can actually skip this next double hit. We can just jump here and hit this gun. And we can also do this. Oh. Okay, maybe not. Sorry, I was attempting there a little bit of a funny trick, unfortunately because the camera glitched out. I wasn't able to do it, and I don't want to risk dying in this level because there have been no checkpoints so far.
I think Bartholomew was blocking you actually.
Possibly. Yeah, so we did We didn't lose anything except for command jump on. This is why we hate Bentley. Very low, very slow jump. Yeah, we only lost a bit of entertainment value in there. Which we
Mr.
apologize
Funny.
for. Okay, next up is Frozen Altars, which is probably my favorite level in the entire run. In part because there are like 17 different ways to skip it. I'm going to be first and foremost going for a pretty fast proxy, but if not, we might be seeing a different, some other way to skip it. This level also has a gimmick that, actually let me first attempt this and I can try to explain. There we go, that's a nice proxy. Yeah, so this level also has a gimmick of replacing our flame with ice breath, which on contact with enemies actually freezes them, which is used throughout the level for various puzzles and just dealing with them. Unfortunately, in the speedrun we just kill at most one enemy for the proxy by charging, so we do not get to see that at all.
Is a very neat feature in full percent runs though. It makes everything proxyable, which is very cool.
Yes, through something lovingly known as Rui proxy. Yeah, didn't mention it before, but applying through these textures here is also something exclusive to this version of the game. In the next version, we just there is no walls there. There is a solid wall there. You can still get that, but it's a little harder.
It's also probably worth mentioning when we talk about version differences, we're playing specifically on the American version of this game because the American version is faster than the European version. But the regular release and the greatest hits version of the game are technically two different versions. Greatest hits being version 1.1, which has a few things patched out, mostly just sort of putting some walls where they're meant to be, but for the most part it's the same game, just music improvements.
Yeah, I attempted another proxy at the start of this level to go through. Unfortunately failed it, which makes it a little long and straightforward level, just running through everything, waiting at one point, so... But here it is already done. And now we are going to be entering one of the more interesting levels, which is another escort level. It is going to be a Spyro escort level, which turns out to be the only escort level in the entire game. The only escort mission, which is actually skippable. And I'm going to be attempting that skip now. We are going to this NPC that we talked at the start, right here. We have to escort them, but if I manage here to let me. There we go. I can just get pushed up. I am here already at the end of the level, but because Crazy Ed is not here yet, we cannot actually finish the level, so we have to go and Death Abuse, so that Crazy Ed spawns at the last checkpoint of his. And we just have to do a little bit of a jump. And if you could start explaining what's gonna happen right now.
Sure thing. So we're going to be performing a glitch that will basically lock Spyro in a swim state once he leaves the level. What's going to happen is we're going to pause on the frame that we're meant to die, and on the frame that we're meant to die, the game sort of like locks Spyro in a state where he can't enter any other states because he needs to go into like a death transition. But if we leave the level on that frame, when we respawn in sort of the home world that we're going to, you'll just be able to
get everything that you thought you knew about water planes.
Exactly. Spyro will just stay swimming forever, no matter if he like swims through the water plane or not. It's only until sort of certain things interrupt it that Spyro will be taken out of this state. So if Spyro dies, he will no longer be in what we call zombie state. That's what we call this state. Or if he goes through sort of a teleport transition, the teleport won't happen, but Spyro will be taken out of zombie state, and that's noticeable by the fact that we'll be able to pause the game again. Right now we can't, but as soon as we're no longer in zombie, we'll be able to pause, exit the level, and be able to leave this level fairly fast.
Yeah, so this was this teleport skip that Rui was mentioning. We just got... our zombie was removed right there instead of teleporting us. Which is very nice, because right now we can pause and exit the level. This is the... Like some of the levels previously, there is a cutscene after getting the end of level egg. But this is the only one where you can actually pause and exit out before the cutscene plays, which is very convenient for the speedruns. It saves us like... I want to say like 15 seconds, because it's a bit of a cutscene.
Yeah, I would say so.
But yeah, this is our third homeworld done, and we are heading to the third boss, which is what really makes this run the least fun, because this is an absolute RNG fest. We can get two different, there are two different power-ups, let's call them, that we can get in this boss fight, red and green rockets. They deal the same amount of damage. The only difference is that the green one is quote-unquote homing, so that it's a little easier to hit the boss with. But we only get one, whereas with the red ones we get 50 of them. So the green ones were apparently supposed to deal twice the amount of damage, but they aren't, so they are like just straight up worse. We got a good RNG, it's a 50-50 which one we get with every Bentley Pro. And the run can go on for quite a while if you keep getting green rockets. But yeah. Okay. But yeah, other than that, the boss fight is quite straightforward, so we can squeeze in some donation if there is one to be spent here, said here. Like the final part.
At this time, I'd like to take a moment to talk about our current incentives and bid wars. Right now, our incentive for the bonus Phantasm stage clear is still sitting at a nice $100. We need another $100 to make that stage happen, so please get those donations in. And for the bid wars, both of them being for Void Stranger, one of them is the character bid war. You have the choice either between Gray and Lily. Both of them don't have anything yet, but you can change that if you so desire. The other bid war we have going on is for the color palettes for Void Strangers. You have between all of the colors of the rainbow and also the color gray. Right now, for that bid war, we have orange in the lead with $6 and gray following right behind with $5. So please get those donations in.
Yeah, get those in. Okay, right now we are going to be going for our last proxy of this run, which is the helmet proxy, which is really what makes this any percent run possible. Oops. Because we are already, unlike all the other homeworks, it is possible to skip into the final boss of this homework through this very high proxy. Because if you remember what I said all the way back in the first homework about sub-area portals, well, it turns out that for some reason in this last homework, the portal to the final boss is an area portal. So it is gigantic and we can just fly in from the outside. And I'm going to try and focus for this boss while we will explain how this boss works for us.
Sure thing. So the last fight of this game is actually quite an interesting fight. If you use to sort of like look up at the sky and sort of see where all the cannons are spawning in, you can pretty much predict exactly how the fight's gonna go. That does require quite a bit of a reading. The guide for it is very long. But our aims for this fight, there's 3 phases that the sorceress goes through: cannon phase, tank phase, and UFO phase. These are just sort of phases indicating which vehicle will spawn for us whilst fighting. And tank's phase in this fight, is the best vehicle to sort of do the most damage quickly. So what Wojowu will hopefully be able to do in this is be able to get a tank to spawn as the last hit to go into the third phase will happen, so that another tank will drop in the phase that UFOs are meant to drop, and hopefully that will make it so that we can quickly defeat the sorceress faster than we would with a UFO. Sadly, it didn't look like
There we go. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Oh no. No. Okay. If you get hit while on the vehicle, then you instantly lose it. That was good execution, but very bad attack energy.
Yeah. Unfortunate, but the game's still beatable with UFO. It's just very awkward movement UFO has. But hopefully we'll be able to sort of close out the fight. 6 hits after you enter the third phase.
That's 4, and on the 6th that will be time.
Yeah.
So this is 5, and time coming up very soon. There we go, that's time. Yeah, so that's Spyro 3 for you. Evil Sorceress defeated, and 20 out of 150 eggs rescued. That's any percent for you. Yeah, so I'd like to take this moment to thank Rui for the wonderful help with the commentary, and I just wanted to help everyone in the Spyro community over the years for inspiring me to run this game, and a lot of help throughout for learning the speedruns, practicing the speedruns, and just like keeping me interested in them.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What a
But
performance.
yeah, I think that will be it from us, so thank you everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed.
And thank you for participating in a wonderful run you presented to us. That was really fun.